Oh, recording.
All right.
All
Welcome
right.
to Drop Third Strike with myself, Terry Gant, in Chicago, Illinois, and my broadcast partner, Beth Davies Stofka in Denver.
Hello. And hello
What
from
are we
very
on?
cold Denver.
Yeah,
And
you guys having a blizzard today or something?
well, yes, we are. It actually just started. I was like, no, not yet. Oh, yeah. I looked out the window, like,
I was
definitely.
listening to reports on like some football games and things, and they kept talking about the Chiefs and the Broncos, and they kept talking about snow conditions, and I was like, snow? I didn't look. I meant to go look at the weather, but I never looked, and I was like, is Denver having? Are they in Denver? Is Denver having a problem? So it's going to be more than the mile high air. It's going to also be like just whiteout conditions. This could be awesome.
Yep. This actually creates some pretty fun football games. I don't think they're very much fun for the players, but for the rest of us, it's a hoot because the grass gets really slippery. It really changes the game.
I mean, it's fun for players who've like grown up in the North. And players who've grown up in the South, it's a nightmare. It's from what I've understood. But if you've grown up anywhere north of Cincinnati, I think that it's not the worst thing in the world. You've done it all your life.
There are Broncos fans who will go to the stands in weather like this, shirtless.
Yeah.
And all painted orange and blue. And seriously, that's like so dangerous. But that's how they have lots of padding.
Someone should alert them that the body paint is not an insulating layer.
Yeah, but they have a lot of natural insulation because of all the beer and chips that they consume.
Sure.
And so that probably helps them get through it a little bit. But I don't know, if I were their skin, I would want to be on somebody else's body. I know that.
Absolutely.
But it's a hoot to watch the game because I remember I don't remember what year it was. This was a couple decades ago that the snow was so bad that the players actually had snow piling up on them while they were training. It was amazing.
I'm going to eagerly look for highlights of that game.
Yeah.
Right, so before we actually we signed on, we were talking about, we had a couple things to get to because that World Series game last night was bizarre.
Yeah.
I was not able to actually watch the game when it happened, but this morning I caught up on all of it and kept watching the replays and analysis of it over and over. And it's pretty fantastic for a World Series game.
That was, I kept telling Steve that was the best World Series game I'd seen since last year, but it actually was better than that. I mean, last year was such a delight just because the Nationals, like, I don't know how they won. They shouldn't have. Yeah. Remember, they did all their scoring after the seventh inning. That was
pretty much, yeah.
Made for some.
They were down in every game. They were down in every game, and then like it would be late in the game.
Yeah.
Suddenly, here come the Nationals again.
Yeah, It's the eighth inning. I guess Rendon's going to get a hit. Here we go.
Yep. That's pretty much how it was.
That was a hoot. That was
completely improbable.
But I just, when the game ended and the way that it ended was so much like that, sixth game in the 86 World Series when the ball went through Buckner's feet and how it felt, because I was so rooting for the Mets. And I was living in a dorm room, so I was watching it on the bed, so I just like came off the bed and I was shouting and carrying on because you just can't contain yourself. It was just so exciting because it was like, there's Mookie Wilson scoring and you're like,
Yeah.
The Mets won. There's more baseball. And that's how I felt last night, because the main reason I wanted the Rays to win is so it would be 4-4 series. I just really wanted that. More baseball, please.
I remember in 86, it was like, I was watching it, and they showed the highlight today where I was kind of watching the Baseball Tonight crew, and my wife asked about the play, like, why did Buckner seem to give up on the play? And I said, if I recall, the issue was that had Bill Buckner made that play, I think there was like a man on third or a man on second or something, had he made the play, the game is effectively over, right? He just steps on first. That is the final out. Game is over, and Red Sox win, and they win the series because they basically were, that was like an elimination game. But because of that, a guy scores, and immediately then the Red Sox, the Mets win the game, and they force a game 7.
Right.
Was the issue.
Like, all over the Red Sox in game 7. Yeah.
Like it was as if the Red Sox, knowing how they lost game 6, could not basically get up for that game, and they basically lost that game before they even started playing it.
Okay, so is that going to happen to the Dodgers today? Because that's everybody's big question, right?
Well, so one of the observations I had was I was looking at Dave Roberts' face, right, as this thing was going on. I was looking at Dave Roberts' face, the manager for the Dodgers, and he had, when Chris Taylor bobbles that ball in the outfield, there is a look and words coming out of Dave Roberts' mouth, right? That said to me, they're gonna have to get their crap together, because that was like, it was like, oh no, here we go again. Was the look on it. Like he did some swearing and, you know, throwing his hat on the ground and all that, but like that was the look of disbelief. There wasn't like, sometimes what you want is you want someone to respond like, you know, yelling for a guy to do a particular thing, right? For everybody to still stay in the play, right? To pay attention to it. But the second Taylor misplayed the ball, right? That's the point at which Roberts lost it. And we hadn't even gotten to the Max Muncy throw or the Will Smith kind of not pick and non-sweep. Like, we hadn't got to any of that yet. He blew up at the bobble in the outfield. Yeah. Which is not what you want to do. At that point, you want to be focused on what you do to recover the play, which Chris Taylor did appropriately. He ran from center field basically to like just behind first base to recover the ball, throw it to Chris Taylor, but it looked as if he didn't like have enough on the throw. So that's why Max Muncy cuts the throw off. But then the critical part here is, and this is what I loved about the analysis of it, was realizing that the reason Will Smith misses the ball is because when Max Muncy's throwing it, when it's coming out of his glove, he's gripping it like this instead of like this, right? Which basically this is the changeup grip, right? Okay. So it looks like it's coming at you like it's going to be like a fastball, right? Except for, so when Will Smith sees him preparing to throw, he's ready to receive the ball, but now the ball's coming slower and it's tailing away from Will Smith, and Will Smith has to reach out further, right, with his left hand. He's right-handed, so he's going out further with his left hand. Then
like apropos of last week, we were saying
absolutely. if he were right-handed, if he were left-handed, he would simply have the glove on his right hand. He reaches over without even bending and catches that ball and lunges for the plate. But he's reaching over this way, the ball just careens off his glove a little bit, right? Because it's also coming down, right, towards his right foot, and then he instinctively goes to tag out Randy Arozarena, who is headed towards home plate, but he doesn't know one critical piece of information that Max Muncy had at first base. He never saw Randy Arozarena fall down.
Right.
So had he seen him fall down, he can just wait for the ball to get to him. Right? Arozarena's going back to third base. He'd be there waiting for him with the ball, but he never saw him. He never saw him fall down. He's thinking Randy Arozarena's barreling down on him because that's the last thing he saw. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Before he had to turn his eyes and look straight at Max Muncy for an interminable amount of seconds, right? Like forever. He's never looking at Randy Arozarena, and Randy Arozarena is scoring because he sees that Will Smith doesn't have the ball. Will Smith is instinctively reacting as if he did, and he does not have it. And that's the end of that game. Like, that's fantastic. Like, that's a hell of a way for you to end up tying a series. And I think that's the problem the Dodgers had, was this tied the series. You didn't go up one extra game, right?
Yep, exactly.
You didn't get to put them down by one, right? They tied you, which is the Rays never going away. This is what we talked about even before we got to the playoffs.
Right.
The Rays just never quit. And if you're the Dodgers, the way the Dodgers hit, they're trying to club you out of games, right? Like Corey Seager's not missing anything,
right?
You know, they're just pounding the ball on you. Mookie Betts is all over the place.
Right.
So they really are. Justin Turner, he swings like a caveman. Like, I love watching this guy get a hold of balls. So when you're the Dodgers, they aren't thinking it's a foot race where we have to like just grind it out against you. They'll shift gears and do that, but generally what they're trying to do early in games, it looks like they're just trying to pound. They're mashing you to death, and they want you to go away, and the Rays don't go away. So I think that's Dave Roberts' reaction, was like, son of a bitch, here we go, right? Like, these guys just won't. What is happening out here? And he's not even at the point where Max Muncy's throwing the ball to Will Smith yet. He's not even there, right? He's going to be angrier when he sees that play develop, right? Like, you know, Randy Arozarena, I said to Lisa that Randy Arozarena swam the home plate, because that's kind of like he flopped, he fell, he rolled, he got it, ran back, he dived for home plate, wasn't quite there, kind of had to, like, you lost that damn game.
Well, he must have been so sure he was out too, because he must have been so sure he was in a rundown, you know?
Yeah, he thought he was dead. He thought he was dead, you know?
Exactly.
That I've seen a couple of clips of guys like falling down, like Daniel Jones in a New York Giants game earlier in the week. was running with the football. He's our quarterback. He's running with the football, and he was free and clear of everybody. He had 80 yards to run. It was a clear touchdown. There was no one else near him. And 12 yards from the end zone, dude just trips over his own feet and falls down. Right? Like, this is not the kind of thing you want to have happen. And guys, the funniest thing that can happen in baseball is a guy rounding third base and just falling over it and stumbling, because it's not even like you're so far ahead of everyone else, you could just get up and keep running. Now the whole play changes because you stopped.
Yeah.
Everyone else now is watching you, and here they come, right? And football is like, you fall down, you just stay down. Some guys are just going to touch you and you're done. You hope he doesn't plow through you. In baseball, no one's going to plow through you, but they absolutely know you can't go forward, and maybe you can't go back either. You're just trapped, right? And I think that's what Randy Rosarina thought had happened. Then it's like, oh, no, wait, you've thrown the ball away. Well, shit. All right, I guess I'll score now. That dude wasn't even supposed to be on the team this year.
Yeah, the power he put into that so when was the last time you fell down? Do you remember?
I have to say, even probably recently. I've had riding a bike in Chicago. I've had lots of times where something bizarre has happened, and there I'm on the ground next to my bike. That has happened. But I don't remember the last, walking. I've tripped over things. I've had some really bizarre, like falling down. There was one point when I was younger, when me and my friends we were hanging out. I used to live in downtown Chicago. And there's one time where we were hanging out kind of behind our shed aquarium, right on the lakefront, right? And what they have there is they have kind of like a lakefront walk area, right off this kind of several museums, so it's a museum campus, but right along the lakeshore, there's this walk area that you can kind of hang out at, right, during the day. But my friends and I, we'd had some beers or whatever, and we were out wandering around there at night, and then there's multiple levels. So the level that you're walking at along the lake is down here, but there's a level of grass that's up here, and there's a wall that basically is that determines the separation. Well, at one point, right behind the shed aquarium, there is that wall is concave, right? So it kind of curves like this, right?
Okay.
And what my friends and I, who were somewhat impaired, decided a fun thing to do would be to run along the path to the concave wall and run up it to climb up to where the grass was. Right? And we had done this several times successfully, and we only really started because the shortest guy in our group had gotten this done, and we were because the wall was easily it seemed like it's got to be I don't know, 9-10 feet high. My memory of it, I haven't done this in a while because it's actually not the best memory I have. So we'd done this, we'd actually successfully been doing it. It was so fun, we just kept doing it. And right about the point when everyone's deciding we're all done, we're tired, we're drunk, we should go home, I wanted one more shot at it. So I decided I'm going, let's do it. I start running towards this wall, and had not realized that all of us were incredibly lucky that we had missed this brick that was sitting on the path, just not bothering anybody. But in this particular run, I hit that brick hard. I tripped and went face first into this wall. And that was probably the end of my most of my daredevil life. Because all people saw was I was running as fast as I could, and then suddenly I'm tumbling and kind of rolling up a wall and back down the wall, right? And no one realized, because it's dark, there's some light over there, but not a lot of light. And I think they don't expect, drunken 20-somethings out there messing around, and they should have expected it because it wasn't blocked off or anything. Of course drunk people are going to hang out there, right? And I tripped over this brick, and it was incredibly embarrassing, but I recovered. But in my adult life, most of it has been bike accidents. Somebody slowly kicking, you do the thing in your car where you're parked, you're going to get out of your car, but you have to get something in the passenger seat, but you're also opening your driver's side door. So the way you do this a lot of times is you do it by pushing the door open with your foot while you're reaching to get something out off the seat, right? And this lady was doing that, heading to her yoga class, as I'm coming up the hill by my house, I'm riding slow because I'm going uphill. Yeah. But I see her door slowly open, and I'm trying to avoid it, right? Because I'm not going fast at all, right? I'm just leaving my house. Basically, I'm a block or two from my house. I'm not going fast, and my right handlebar catches her door as she slowly kicks it up with her foot. So she never even sees me, and I go over her door on my bike.
Wow.
Right. And I'm laughing the entire time because to me, it's like I can see myself doing it, and I know, like, first I'm cursing, right? But then by the time I'm hitting the ground, I'm laughing because, like, I can't believe that just happened. You know, I'm a little annoyed at her for kicking the door open with her foot, but I also understand that some people do that. You know? Oh, look at that.
Yeah, look at that, huh? She's actually purring.
All right. The cat is making an appearance.
Now she's going in the window.
You want to see the cat, Lisa? Oh, wait.
Now,
disappeared.
Did you go over, or did you and the bike go over?
The bike just kind of fell and spun, right? It's a side street, so there wasn't a lot of traffic. Like, a car did stop because my backpack was in my bike basket and it came out of the basket. Okay. So a car stopped and people checked on me or whatever. I was okay. But I've had a few accidents on my bike in more traffic, in which a similar thing happened. But one time, I don't like massive pickup trucks in general. I think they're kind of dopey. But, like, you know, the one thing I do like about massive pickup trucks is their mirrors tend to be high. So my handlebars clear them. There's one particular truck, though, on this one street where it was a massive pickup truck, but with a low slung side view mirror, and I hit it. Right? It normally doesn't happen, right? Like, I clipped the stupid mirror, and I was like, it wasn't even that it was like low, it just stuck out pretty far. And I was like, who the fuck builds mirrors like this? Like, what is this shit? You know? And I hit it because I was wearing headphones with, you know, cords, and the cord caught one of them. Oh, no. But there's cars on my left, and there's, like, I'm trying to make sure I'm nowhere near those cars. The parking lane's on my right, and that was like the last time I ever wore corded headphones while riding. After that point, I just, like, have my phone. I'll play music out loud on my phone, but I'll, like, have a phone in the upper pocket or something like that. So I have nothing around my ears at all because my cord clipped this mirror that just shouldn't even been there. So the lousy design of this stupid truck, you know, pickup trucks.
So are your falls generally athletic or embarrassing?
A little of both. I think being even a little bit athletic means you can survive them. Like, you know, you're not smashing your face all up and all that. You know what I mean? Like, it helps, I think. Yeah. But it's embarrassing also because, like, you're going along perfectly fine, and all of a sudden you're creating all this tension for everyone. Like, you're freaking people out, right? Like, that's a thing you don't really like. I don't want traffic stopped in both directions and people all getting out of their cars and running towards me. Like, when I'm okay, right? Like, I mean, I want help if I need help, but, like, in the end, there's a lot of people worrying about you, and it probably, some degree of it had to do with something you were doing. You know, like, if somebody causes an accident or something for me to have, and none of it's my fault, like the lady kicking her door open, then that's different. But then, like, I don't really want to, as a cyclist, I want to be visible so you don't hit me, but a non-factor for your car at all times. It's just safer that way, right? Like, I ride in such a way that I'm just not there when the car is going, like when the car is there. I don't want to be anywhere near that because my survivability rate's pretty low. So, like, I don't want to have to negotiate cars, right? And I don't want to have situations in which some drivers have to now worry about me and they're all freaked out. They got to get back in their cars and they got to drive, but now their adrenaline's all up. They're just gonna have an accident somewhere else down the road. Like, I don't want to be a part of that, you know. But I'm sure, like, when I was younger, all kinds of falling down, constantly. Tripping downstairs, and, you know, like, one time I was lousy at catching footballs. Like, I didn't like playing football. I just couldn't grasp how to catch this thing that isn't round at all. One day, like, I actually finally caught a football. I was so happy that I caught a football. I turned and immediately ran into a light pole. And I was just cemented why I didn't like playing football when I was a young kid. Hated it. I had to be like, I was probably like 9. I was 9 or 10 years old when that happened.
That on video forever.
Yeah, it was just a kind of, like, straight blooper reel. Like, finally, there it is. I'm catching a football. Look at that. It's coming to me and I'm catching it. Wow, someone threw it to me and I've caught it. I can't believe it. And I'm fast, so I know I'm going to make a touchdown here. No one's going to catch me. The second I turned, that pole was right there. The telephone pole was a big wooden telephone pole in the alley. Where I grew up, one of the neighborhoods I grew up in, you couldn't play in front of your houses because it was a busy main street. So the alley, we just all played in the alley because there were just less cars ever interfering with anything we ever did. And, like, adults wouldn't also see most of what we were getting up to, which is something we probably shouldn't be doing in the first place. But football, that's nice and easy, right? Yeah. You know, except for, like, nobody would ever want to throw me the ball because I was never going to catch it.
Right.
And this one particular day I caught it and immediately hit the wooden telephone pole and I was out. Great.
At least it was wooden. Yay, it was wooden.
It was a wooden pole, yeah.
So if you had fallen like Randy Arozarena did last night, would you have been athletic enough to do a barrel roll?
I think that's the only way you have to like roll forward and tumble. Like you don't want to fall flat with your flat back. You don't want to fall flat on your face. You need to put your hands and shoulder down and roll. It's the only thing you can really do because that's the safest way for you to, come out of it. Otherwise, you're just going to come out of it with a concussion.
Right.
Like you don't want that,
right.
And the way he fell too, I was a little worried about his ankles.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that stumbling stuff, like your feet or legs are bending in ways that you don't particularly want to have happen. Like you don't want to catch a cleat in the ground so your momentum's going one way, but your foot decides it's not moving at all.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's really dangerous. So I was kind of like, when he got back up and was running back to third, I was like, oh thank goodness. There's a dude who freaking do that.
Yeah.
I don't need him like knocking himself out or something. Like I prefer that,
I was amazed. I don't know what would happen to me if I fell at that speed. I mean, I don't know if that's something that you practice or if it's something that comes to you naturally or if it's somewhere in between where other kinds of baseball activities prepare you to move in certain ways.
Yeah. Harold Reynolds was saying today or last night, I guess he was saying that some of this stuff baseball players practice because at some point it's going to happen whether you like it or not.
Oh yeah.
Right? So he was saying he was intimated. He has practice coming around third and rolling.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Because at some point this is going to happen to you. You can't. Something embarrassing is going to happen. Baseball players practice some of the dumbest things because you don't want every day to have somebody being like, all right, we're going to do rounding third base and falling on your ass drills, right? That's not going to happen. Some of the time, you might want to like just roll around a little bit because who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I also remember being kids, which, hopefully they are playing baseball at a professional level with the instincts and joys of little kids. I really hope so, because I need them to do that. Right. But when we were little kids, I mean, we would kind of compete to see who could tumble fastest, roll funniest, roll repeatedly, I mean, all those things. We were just doing that all the time.
If you were anywhere with a hill, anytime you ever got someplace where there was a hill, what's the first thing kids do? They
roll down the hill,
they roll down the damn hill. Like kids will roll down the hill forever until they throw up.
Until you throw up. And you get other people to do it with you, and then you start competing. Well, I did it this way, can you do it that way? I mean, it's just really, really fun. And so it seems to me that practicing that would be one of the funnest things ever. But I was kind of wondering about that because I don't think that I would instinctively know, the way he kind of turned himself into a little bit of a ball. I think he had his hands on his shins, right? And he was rolling over with his hands on his shins, which is just such great form, and I don't know if that would come to, I'm certain it wouldn't come to me instinctively, although I could be wrong. I've never
I think it has to, it comes from people who run, fall. Yeah. Right? Like people who walk, like you'll slip, you know what I mean? Like those tend to be slips. Like we both live in cities that get ice on the ground. Right. But we're also not likely to be running while there's ice on the ground. We're likely to be walking. So when the slipping happens, it's usually like a leg slipping out forward, us falling backwards. So there's not a lot of opportunity to roll necessarily there, except for rolling backwards. Right. But people who run forward a lot tend to fall forward. Right. So you're instinctively having to figure that rolling thing out. Right. You don't want to sprawl. Right. Like every winter we have more falling opportunities. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Chicago gets a good 4 months of ice on the ground today. Oh, it stopped blizzarding. It'll be back. I could go outside and totally fall today. Yeah. And that would be really, I fall a lot. That would actually be a lot of fun. Because you do that in the snow too, don't you? You don't even need a hill. You can just have the snow and you can just fall and fall and fall because the likelihood of getting hurt is extremely low. You know, nice pillowy, cushiony snow. Yeah. Here we have this our snow issue in Chicago is particularly for the, like, if it's blizzardy snow, good, because now it's nice and high. Right. Should you fall over? That's happened. I have fallen into blizzardy snow while trying to shovel it. So you're shoveling the snow. It's like, 18 inches deep or whatever. And you at some point, because a couple years ago, we got snowfall after snowfall after snowfall, and it got to the point where it was just never, it seemed like every other day it was snowing, and we got to the point where it's hard finding a place to put the snow. right?
Oh, yeah.
So you're making like these channels for you to walk through, or for people to get through. You're trying to clear your walk. The mounds to the side of you are like, now they're curved because you're digging and then you're throwing, right? So there's a lot of that. For any listeners we have, like all 30 of you now, who any of you live in the South, you will not understand how this is. But there gets to be a point where you run out of places to put the snow or heights to throw it. And there was times which I was out there shoveling, and you're just starting to wear down, and you're trying to stand up and like get your bearings, and then you just fall over. You just into the damn snow. Like, you're not trying to, but like, there you go. It's going to happen. You are going to fall over into the snow while shoveling it at some point. You know, this is also, I think, why it is people, one of my snow shoveling pet peeves are people who only shovel like one shovel's width.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like that thing. But I think it's why they do it, is because they're tired. Yeah. They have these are people who've done nothing with their upper body and their core all year long, and they're not going to start. They live in a place where there's snow. They push that damn shovel down the block one time and they're done. Right? Like, I see mounds or like inches and inches and inches of snow, and I think, hot damn, I get to go shovel it. I like shoveling the snow. Right?
Oh, that's awesome.
But there's a point where you get fatigued because it's just like, damn it, it's snowing again.
Yeah.
I just want to like sit on my couch. All right, when am I going to go out? You know?
Yep. I only remember one winter like that in the last, I don't know, 15 years or 20 years, we had a winter like that, but mostly we get what you're talking about all at once.
Yeah. And we have every 5 years in Chicago, I think we have a major snow event. Yeah. You know, otherwise it's just like
relentless.
No, December is mostly just cold, like it's in the 40s or whatever, but it isn't snowy. Like, I've had more Christmases without snow than Christmases with in the last 10, 15 years, right? But then we hit January, in which it's colder and snowier. And we used to have a weather kind of situation here where I could swear that January, February, that transition from January into February was just too cold to snow. But in the last couple of years, I think thanks to climate change, that is not true. Yeah. We will get driving snow, and it will be negative 15-degree wind chills. And that didn't used to happen here, but now it happens regularly.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got the heat. I mean, I suppose you heard about what happened to us last week. Just when you
started off with high heat during the day, and then your temperatures dropped and it snowed.
No, that's kind of happening now. We started with high heat and it didn't go anywhere, and we got 2 new fires. And we got 2 new fires, and one of them grew 100,000 acres in like a 24-hour period.
Damn.
It's and the other one that was burning, that's 85 miles north of me, that one is like 60% contained now, but that's over, I think that one's over 200,000 acres. I think I got up to like 220,000. I mixed with the number of COVID deaths, but it was like up in that area. And now they started talking about the 2 fires meeting up and becoming one mega fire.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah.
Oh man. So this weather, like today, because now we have this massive snowstorm that's moving in, and it just couldn't have come sooner because they just didn't know what to do anymore.
You get to wet stuff up and like change the air pressure a bit.
Yeah. And hopefully, because I mean, they had like hurricane force winds up in the mountains, and so that was moving the fire, and the fire jumped the Continental Divide. It actually went over the Continental Divide, and that is insane.
Yeah.
That really, that was so chilling to me when I read that. I thought, if that can happen, anything can happen.
Frame of reference too for like 85 miles for Chicagoans, I can say, is that it's like having a 200,000 acre fire. Like, you're in Chicago, but it's having Milwaukee be the fire, right?
Oh, wow.
That's how close that is, right? 85 miles is Milwaukee from Chicago, so that's significant. You know, like if you be able to smell smoke if Milwaukee were on fire from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're standing on the lakefront, you could see it.
Yeah.
On a clear day.
I took a picture of it for for a friend in Iowa who was here a year ago. I went back to a place that we had stood, and I took a picture because you couldn't see the mountains. You could just see the smoke. It was horrible. So this weather front is coming from the north, for all of you baseball fans out there.
Getting more than baseball in this podcast.
But this is actually when having super tall mountains is such an advantage, because it's going to push in from the north, but it won't be able to go over the mountains.
Right.
It'll get stuck up against the mountains, and it'll just snow and snow and snow and snow and snow. So it's supposed to start snowing in about 2 hours, like seriously, and then major seriously overnight, and then into the day tomorrow. So hopefully we'll get about 10 inches, maybe more, because it just won't stop. So that's just gonna like dump all over the fires. And that's like the major relief for the firefighters, because I mean they are actually up there talking about Armageddon. I mean that they've just never seen in 20 years of fighting fires anything like this. They are so hot, these fires. So thank you, climate change deniers. Thank you so much. If you subscribe, that's really the issue. Unsubscribe, because I can't be charitable to you. This is really deathy. Yeah. But there's baseball. Oh, thank goodness for those guys. I wonder if they ever really understand how much they do for us by, you know, working so hard and missing their families and permanently injuring their backs and their knees and showing up and playing with everything they have to win. Because to my mind, that's like one of the few places I have left to go where I'm not scared, you know, or concerned or anxious or nervous, or, you know, it's like talk about escapism. And there's kind of a tendency, I think, to scorn escapism. It's like, you got to be kidding me. Reality is really tough.
Particularly since we used to get a break between whatever our particular national tragedies were. Yeah. Right. Now they're all kind of happening at the same time. Yeah. Like we've had dumb presidents before. This is not the first time America's had a dumb president, right? Right. We've had forest fires in particular parts of the country. That's not new. Right. We've even had different types of pandemics. Like the 80s had the HIV crisis, right? So like we've had different types of pandemics. We have not had generally all of these things happen within the same like sort of calendar year at the same time. At the same time, yeah. And there's other things I'm not even naming that like are significant issues. There's a point in our like history where we've had baseball or football or something stopped. It'd be stopped for a week, right? And then we'd be right back at it. We've not had many situations in which the entire nation shouldn't be going outside. Oh yeah, I can say that like globally, you probably shouldn't be going outside because the sun's trying to kill you, right? But like you should stay in the house as like a D&D nerd. Like there's a lot of staying in the house that generally has happened over my lifetime. I'm probably okay skin cancer related, not just for having melanin, but just cumulatively over the course of my life, having less exposure outside for recreational reasons. I don't do recreational sunshine bullshit. Like, nope, people die from that. So I don't do it. Like, I like looking at the lake. I don't hang out at the beach. Really, yeah, you know? Exactly. Like, that kind of thing. I don't do it. But, you know, because at some point they told us, and I took it I understood what they meant when they said the sun's trying to kill you. Yeah, exactly. It is. You know? Exactly. So like, yeah, I don't really do it. But now all of these things are the case at the same time in a row, right? Like there's no break from any of it. Yeah. And they happen in a row, but before the other one's finished. Yes. And so it's like geologic layers of national trauma, you know, just building up on us, right? Yeah. And you know, I mean, oh my goodness, right? And never mind like the street battles, the full-on like street battles. Yes. People are like killing each other. Yes. You know, now I guess Steve has seen that before, because I asked him, you know, because he's older than I am, right? So he's seen stuff I never saw, and he said this is 1968 all over again. Yes. He doesn't see any difference, right? Yeah. And that's so we've got that too, you know, and we've got people like seriously hurting each other. And we got like armed militias like taking to the streets and trying to kidnap governors, and oh my goodness, I mean that is 68 all over again for sure. Yes. Yeah. and that's even like really like of the list of things that could possibly be happening, you're telling me this is a thing that someone's gonna pull now? Yeah. And not the only one? Wait, you're telling me that there's like more people who're thinking about some dumb shit like this? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, this is like, yeah. So, you know, it's getting to be a little harder, and I'm really sorry that, you know, we're just about to run out of live baseball. But when you create that context and then you think about what people did, you know, and in basketball too, to put it together so that we could still have a season. Yes. You know, I mean, I don't even care if it was selfish motivations. I really don't care. Your motives don't interest me. You know, that you did it was so good for the rest of us. Because that's like any of our sort of so baseball is one of our escapist hobbies, right? Like it's for me, I do enjoy a game. I do enjoy going to a ball game. I do enjoy watching some games, but truthfully, I think the thing that baseball gives me, my baseball escape a lot of times comes from the sort of ins and outs of the numbers of baseball.
Yeah.
Like that every third baseman is not the best power hitting third baseman in the game. Every first baseman is not the best power hitting first baseman in the game. Every shortstop is not the best defensive shortstop you could possibly have. Like the sort of the ups and downs of the abilities of a baseball roster are what keep me attracted to baseball. Right?
Oh yeah.
The job of an offensive lineman in football is to basically protect his quarterback or push people away so that they can throw a ball to a guy, right? Like offensive linemen's jobs are pretty steady in terms of the description, right? You don't have an offensive lineman in in football, who will ever also be the best pass catching option on your field, right? That's not a thing that happens, right? It's not
very specialized, right?
It's just not it's not a skill they develop. It's not by rule they can't, right? Even do that thing, right? Like you can only have an eligible to receive the ball offensive lineman under very specific conditions that the referee has to be aware of, right? In baseball, you can have a corner infielder whose job it is to mash the ball every time that it's thrown to him, but who is sucking at that, but is excellent at catching the ball anytime it comes his way.
Right.
Might even be super speedy and fast and steal you a bunch of bases.
That's right.
Every role on the baseball field has a traditional sort of a job understanding, but you have players who work within and around that thing to make up the scope of your team. And I think that's the thing that attracts me to that game, is that even if growing up in Chicago with the Cubs, Mark Grace played first base here for a whole bunch of years, and everybody understood that your corner infielders are big hitters. And this dude, basically the most home runs he ever hit, largely, he might hit 20 one year, but generally he was always in that 9 to 15 range.
Yeah.
He's a Gold Glove first baseman every damn year. And even though these days I want him to basically fall down some stairs and be nowhere near a microphone, like, because I hate listening to him ever have to say anything, because he's a dick. But like watching him play defensively, he saved so many plays because our shortstops were these wild throwing crazy people who just would, they make a spectacular diving play, but they're trying to throw the ball into the stands as soon as they get it.
Oh no.
Don Dunston throwing a ball was like an adventure to watch, because you don't know where the hell that ball is going to go. But Mark Grace caught all of it, right? So it was frustrating knowing that your team needed some power and needed it probably from that position, but you couldn't give up the defense to get the power.
Right.
The Cubs right now have Jason Hayward in right field.
Right.
Jason Hayward looks like Conan the Black Barbarian, right?
He
like
does.
but like he's so smooth in his approach, and he's tall and he's muscular. You think you're going to get 35 home runs a year out of this guy. And I think the Cubs thought they were going to get that too, but what they got was Gold Glove right field work.
I know, right?
Left-handed hitters pulling that ball to right field. Know that there's a black hole named Jason Hayward out there. He's going to catch everything. You don't have to worry about it, right? You have to worry about none of it. But like when he hits the ball, you think, holy shit, we got a bonus. Our right fielder just hit a home run. Oh my God. Yeah. Like it's on right now. And consequently, in left field, you need a very sure-handed guy there. As I explained before, right-handed hitters tend to go to left field. You need a very sure-handed left fielder. But you also hope he hits some home runs. And you got Kyle Schwarber over there, who is he's a refrigerator with a glove on his hand, right? Like he has learned to catch some balls. But there's just no way anyone's thinking, Kyle's got this shit. Don't worry about it. Hit it to him. I dare you to hit it to him. Most of the time, it is, I need you to hit it exactly to him. Hit it to right where he's standing. If you can hit it, if a hitter can hit a ball to right where Kyle Schwarber is actually standing, I call that man a masterful hitter. He has done the one job we needed to have happen, which is hit it directly to Kyle Schwarber, so he doesn't have to run for it. He doesn't have to decide if he's going to backhand it. He doesn't ever have to ice cream cone it. I don't want him ever. If he ice cream cones something, I feel like he's going to break his wrist. I don't want that. I want no ice cream coning, which is when you're, for a Legion of fan, when you're catching a ball with a glove. I'm with my left hand because I'm right-handed. Yeah. It is, the glove is on your hand. You want it here in the webbing, right? You want that. But sometimes guys are just skilled enough. They know it's not going to be in the webbing, but they can close that glove at just the right time, and the ball's sticking out of the top.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the ice cream cone catch. It happens. Sometimes you can just get it out there enough,
yeah,
and you just ice cream cone that ball. And the best outfielders, even when the ball's not in their glove, they're getting it, and they're going to ice cream cone it. And I don't want Kyle Schwarber ever doing that. He'll die. He'll break an elbow. I don't want it. Don't want to see it. But like on other teams, you see left fielders like, look at that dude, got that shit. Man, oh my God. Right-handed hitters, it's the balls are just gonna die out there because just center fielders and left fielders are so damn good. But that's what I love about the game. I love that you gotta stick a guy like Kyle Schwarber out there because he needs to be playing every day, and your catcher's an actual catcher. So Kyle Schwarber's not gonna catch on this team, right? Maybe someday he'll be a first baseman. Maybe, but I bet if I look at which hand he bats with, he can't be a first baseman, which is why he's out where he is, like it's now, but we have the DH rule, right? Like now we're going to have a universal DH. I bet going into next season, the Cubs will probably get a better defensive outfielder out there. And Schwarber will be able to DH every day, which ideally the talk in this town was to find a way to trade him to an American League team.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So that he could just DH every day. But now you don't even have to trade him to an American League team. You can like keep the guy.
Yeah.
Who's going to get you 30 home runs a year, right? Possibly 100 RBIs. Like, that's a valuable thing. He's just defensively absolutely a liability.
Yeah.
Playing the only place he could really play.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but before that happened, it really was like, man, package him. But when your core of your team includes this guy, you don't know if you're giving up on a player too soon. What are you getting back? Are you going to get back a major league, like you're going to get back a number 2 pitcher? Like, you need to get value for somebody with the upside of Kyle Schwarber. Because the refrigerator with a glove on is funny, but that refrigerator with a bat in his hands is dangerous, right? So you don't want to punt that.
Exactly. Yeah, he'll be able to play every day. Yeah, and get all that good stuff. So this means that we need to find out what you think about Ji-Man Choi.
I think Ji-Man Choi, he's not a refrigerator. He's a beanbag chair. He's a beanbag chair with a glove because he just looks like lovable panda mascot. Like I just like it's hard to believe that guys like him and Pablo Sandoval, they're almost spherical human beings playing baseball, and you don't think it's the inverse of the Mookie Betts problem, right? Mookie Betts is like 5'8" or something, yeah. And he's playing right field, and he just kind of like you think that guy is not athletic because he's small, but he's super athletic, right? He can do everything he does well. But then you get the roly-poly guys out there, and it's like, man, how did you pull this off? But roly-poly guys, they have such great fast twitch muscle.
Yeah,
they can get around on baseballs, right? They have big butts and big bellies, and it's not an issue for them swinging the bat because their center of gravity is exactly where it needs to be for them to whip around on a baseball and pound it.
Right.
The one skill they don't have is they can't run fast, right? They're not fast guys. But if you hit a home run, you can trot at your own pace.
But he's certainly made some wonderful plays at first base.
Yes.
Somebody had said he's not known for his defense, and I thought, well, why not? Are you not paying attention?
He's quite flexible for a man that I wouldn't think is going to be flexible.
He really is.
He's a beanbag chair who can do a split.
Do you think it's because he's having so much fun? Does that give him like joy and freedom in his body that other people maybe don't have because they're too tight and they're too determined?
I think it's one of the like that's a good outlook. But I think it's one of the benefits of being on a team that nobody expects anything from and you're winning. So now you can do ridiculous things that like you probably would calm down on when you're losing.
Yeah.
Right? But now that you're winning, it's like, hell yeah, I'm going to go out there and play, and I'm going to do this stretchy thing. And I know I'm a roly-poly man, but watch this, you know? My pitcher's over there on the mound dancing.
Yeah.
He's moonwalking on the damn mound. Like, what the shit? Hell yeah, I'm going to catch this ball. You think the moonwalking pitcher with his beautiful hair is something? Watch me, roly-poly beanbag chair man, stretch out for this play.
Oh, the Rays are a fun team.
That's why they're in the World Series. Yeah. They know so many of these guys just feel like they be backup players on somebody else's good team. Right. But they're starting players on this team.
Right.
And you got to contend with them. Like none of these guys are replacing a Dodger if they moved over to the Dodgers, right?
Right.
But Chris Taylor next year, if he weren't a Dodger, or Jock Peterson next year, if they weren't a Dodger and they went to the Rays, they would have a ball playing every day and like doing all this weird, incredible shit,
Yeah, whatever they want.
Whatever they want. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever they want. Yeah, I love seeing a team. I know we've talked about this before, but it's worth revisiting after last night's game. I love seeing a team that says, hey, is that who you are? Well, just be all that. Just be so much who you are that you're actually more of who you are than who you are. Just do it. And that's, I think it happens with everybody. I think it happens with every player and maybe even every human being. They need to be in a context where they really get to be who they are, and their genuineness, their lack of restraint lets them be the most that they can be.
An example of this is the guy who got the game-winning hit to begin with, right?
Brett
the guy who got Brett Phillips wasn't even on the ALCS roster. Right? They left him off the roster to have an extra pitcher on the roster, and he hadn't had a hit since September 25th.
Right. He wasn't even a Ray till I think it was August 27th when they signed him.
Yes. I think he was in Milwaukee maybe or something like that.
Yeah, he was in Milwaukee. Or he got traded like 3 times.
He was traded like 3 times.
Yeah. And
he was involved in big trades for big players too.
Yeah, they can, like a team looks at him and they say, "Oh, you're a good piece. If I use you, I can get that really good guy." So he bounces around like that. He never gets to become a really good guy.
You know what he is? He's the Ricky Renteria of current baseball players.
He is,
right?
Yeah.
I need you just to get a guy.
Yeah.
But I don't actually need you. But you are attractive enough that you need to be involved in this. Just come here, bring your stuff. Don't unpack any of it.
Right.
Just shave. I need you to shave to look good. I need you to look good. This general manager I'm talking to, come on through here, buddy. You are a critical part of this team. You are a critical part of the success of this team. You just aren't going to play for it.
Right.
That's guy.
Exactly it.
When asked how he saw the play developing, he had to say he didn't see the play developing. Right? He hit the ball. He's running. He saw Chris Taylor misplay the ball. So he knew for sure he's getting to second base, but he didn't know what was happening in front of him.
Right.
Right? He knew Kevin Kiermaier was going to score because he was already on third. Right?
Right.
Or he was either on third or he was on second, but he knew he was going to score. Right? Yeah. He's only watching Taylor. So the whole time he's running, he's not seeing the wackiness happening at third base in between third and home because he's trying to see what Chris Taylor's about to do with this ball so that he knows where he can go. So now he knows he can go to second because Chris Taylor's got to bring that ball home. Great. He knew the ball was going to get down. He knew it was going to be a hit. He just didn't know how much. And Kevin Kiermaier is the same way. He's at third base, right? He knows that ball's getting down. So he's scoring. Bam. Yay. Awesome. He's scoring. But he's running to the dugout. He doesn't see what Rosarena's doing behind him.
Right.
He doesn't see that crazy shuffle and fall thing. You see, no one sees any of that. The only guy I think who sees any of that is the third base coach standing behind Randy Rosarena and Max Muncy at first base.
Right.
No one else sees it. And when Brett Phillips realizes that they've won the game, he's not even running like to the home. He's not running the home plate. They've won the game already. He's in the outfield, like running with his arms out like an airplane. Like he never saw any of the rest of it. When he's being interviewed, Greg Anzinger, the announcer, has to describe to him what happened because he still didn't know.
Yeah.
In his post-game interview, he has no idea how they won the game. He just knows they won it. So he thinks everybody just ran and scored and balls got thrown around.
Hooray, we won.
Wait, you're telling me Randy Rosarena fell going around third? And then went back to third, but then actually scored? What? He didn't know.
Yeah, somehow came out of a rundown because nobody had the ball. And then
yeah. No one had the ball. In fact, it would have been harder for them to get the ball too, because if you really watch the play, the umpire is like, so there's 2 things that I think are also a problem here. Kenley Jansen's job in this is to cover home plate. He's supposed to be backing up the catcher. He should be behind Will Smith, and he's still at the mound. Right. So he's not covering home plate, which is literally a defensive job you have to do as a pitcher.
He did something worse, Terry. He did something worse. He was not on the mound. He was over like in between third base and home on the field.
Oh, you're right. He's on the, yes.
Like, what are you doing there? Go over there.
He's in the way. Yeah, in fact, he's kind of sort of in the way. But you know who else is in the way? The umpire.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
ball, when Will Smith misses the ball hits the umpire and kind of careens off in a different direction, right?
Right.
Like the umpire needed to be in a spot where he could see the play developing at the plate if there was going to be one. So the
Right.
umpire kind of needs to be like a little 4 foot back into the left, right? And he's kind of still standing there as if it's the batter's box position, like he's calling balls and strikes still,
Yeah.
right? So like if the umpire's not there, Will Smith has the chance to just run and go get that ball. Who knows? You know, but the umpire's kind of like behind him and in the way. Everybody's just out of position.
Yeah, right.
There's
There's a lot of cool what ifs going on there. But you know who else saw it all though, right? Was Dave Roberts. He didn't make it. So here's my question for you now. Okay, so you're playing for the Dodgers, right?
Yes.
Now let's be kind to you and say you were in the dugout during the 9th inning, right? Yep. So you weren't on the field. So yay. And you've gone back to the clubhouse. What do you want to hear Dave Roberts say to you?
What I want to hear Dave Roberts say to me is, these damn Rays don't quit. We're going to kick the shit out of them tomorrow. Like, I need Dave Roberts to not have the here we go again voice. Right? I need Dave Roberts to say, this is what we knew was going to happen. We knew we were in a dogfight with this team, but we're the fucking Dodgers. Yep. And we got Mookie Betts, and he's gonna hit 2 home runs tomorrow night. He's gonna score 3 runs, right? Like, he's gonna make a great play. We got Justin the Barbarian at third base, right? Max Muncy is the inexplicable Max Muncy. Yay. Like, we've got all this great talent on this. Corey Seager, the Coreys, right? The Coreys are great hitters, and they're great defensively as well. Like, we have another game. Let's go get this game. Let's put these dudes away. I want to hear him tell me that it's not the curse of the Dodgers of the last 5 years.
Yeah. Is that going to get in your head if he doesn't say anything?
Yes. Because the players who were in that dugout, who were not on that field involved in all that adrenaline, they're thinking it. Okay. Right? Because they're not starting. Right? If you're the Dodgers, your starter players are the guys who are going to get it done for you. The bench players are the guys who kind of have to come in and make a thing happen. You just got to make a play. You got to get a hit. You got to score. You got to do something, right? But you're not starting that game. You're just observing that whole game, right? You're the guys every year who are sort of like watching these things develop while waiting for your opportunity. But truthfully, you know your guys are going to get it done. They call your number, you're going to get in there and get it done too, right? But now, to watch your team kind of get eliminated every year when you're the odds-on favorite every year for the last 5 years, right? To watch this happen, right? And you got Mookie Betts to make sure this never happens again. That's the reason you got the guy. And it happens again. Yeah. You need Dave Roberts to tell you, nah, nothing happened out there. No big deal. Yeah. We're not even going to sweat it. Tomorrow we can go out there and do the damn job. We're going to shock them with how good we are at doing this job. Right? That's what you need to hear from Dave Roberts. And then what I saw Dave Roberts do was throw his damn hat and like start cursing and had that here we go again kind of look. Yeah. And you need that not to be the case. Yeah. I think there has to be like the slightest temptation. If it were me, I don't know Dave Roberts. If it were me, there would be the slightest temptation to say to the Dodgers, how could you do this to me? You guys need to think about me, because am I going to survive this if you don't? If you want to completely implode the Dodgers, yes, you make Dave Roberts talk about his career as a manager and how he is always blowing it in big moments. You need him to be the Buffalo Bills of baseball. You need, if you want to completely implode them, that's what he's going to be the 90s Bills of baseball. The 90s Bills got the 4 straight Super Bowls. It's damn near impossible. It's super hard to get the 2 straight. He got the 4 straight and lost every single one of them. Yeah. Every one, like, oh, terrible. I want to say that will never happen again to another team. 4 straight with Hall of Famers on your team. Yeah. Right? Like, Dave Roberts has managed to get this team into the playoffs and to the World Series multiple times. Right? And get beat. The reason they thought that what the Astros did was so egregious was because they believed the Astros cheated them out of a World Series. Right. No, but the Rays are showing us the Astros just beat you. Yep. Yep. They may have also had some underhanded dirty shit going on, right? But you got beat, right? Definitely. You got beat. Definitely. And I need you Darvish to believe that they cheated him, though, because the minute he found out that they were cheating, he became a better pitcher. He got his confidence back, right? So I need him to believe they cheated him. Yeah, I keep expecting these guys to be so steeled mentally that none of this gets to them, but it's just not true, is it? No. And so
So yeah, I admire Dave Roberts for all that he's done. I do not blame him for what happened last night. So if you're Chris Taylor, what do you want Dave Roberts to say to you?
We're going to need you again because Chris Taylor plays like 5 positions.
Yeah.
Right. The reason Chris Taylor was in center field, Chris Taylor's an infielder, right? The reason he's in center field is because they needed him in center field. Right. But his skill set being primarily like a second baseman, shortstop kind of guy, his skill set's a little different, right? Like it's similar, but it ain't the same. So like I need you got to tell Chris Taylor, don't worry about it, man. Like it happens, right?
Exactly.
There is no error-free game, like for the most part. Like you're not gonna have an error-free season. In the World Series, does it happen? Absolutely, it fucking happen. Like we know some famous errors in the World Series. But this wasn't Game 7, right? This wasn't Game 7.
Yeah, plenty of time. There's plenty of time. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I tell him too. And
don't be the 2003 Cubs with the Bartman incident.
Oh yeah,
who had a chance to win that game and then even blew the next game, right? Don't be those guys.
Yeah, don't be those guys. Yeah, because I think that's going to be what's. Well, I think the Dodgers got up this morning, and we even went to bed last night and got up this morning saying, you know what? There's probably a lot of speculation that we're going to be those guys, but we're not. We're somebody else. Yeah. That's all. That's all. And we got Mookie Betts. And so come on, nobody else has Mookie Betts.
Nobody else has Mookie Betts.
Nobody else has Mookie Betts.
That's like 2 guys and 1 guy right there.
Exactly. So hey, we're gonna go out and we're gonna win. And I would just reinforce to Chris Taylor, because if I were Chris Taylor, I would be pretty freaked out that I let my teammates down. That would really, really be bugging me.
Right. But then if you're Max Muncy, who's a starter on that team and was a part of that play as well, and Will Smith, you go to Chris Taylor and hey, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We got this, because they all made mistakes, right?
Yep. But I think Taylor saying to Max Muncy, well, I made a mistake, but you compounded it. What'd you do that? You made it worse, man.
And everyone should be going to Kelly Jansen and saying, what the hell?
Yeah. You can see how a team could fall apart, can't you? Yeah. Yeah, see Dave Roberts to go in there and unify everybody so that there aren't that kind of stuff isn't going on. But I think you probably need guys like Chris Taylor to talk to themselves as well, successfully, and say to themselves, you know what? I know everybody I know has taken their eye off the ball. Like that's even a saying. Like that's just part of the English language that we say you took your eye off the ball, because that's how often it happens. And so it happened to me. Damn it, But I don't do it all. I don't do it ever. So I won't do it tomorrow. And then I'm done, finished. I did it. It's over. Yeah. So Mookie Betts, I know that we've talked about Mookie Betts versus Mike Trout. We don't see entirely eye to eye on that. I think that you have a really good explanation for me of what the deal is with Mike Trout and lifelong loyalty to a team.
I wish Mike Trout played for a team in a major market.
Yeah, well, everybody. I'm sure everybody with a team in their city wishes that Mike Trout played for the team, right?
Yes.
You have 2 teams that you could wish Mike Trout played for.
Yes, play for either of these teams.
Work, right? Yeah, either one would work. And I mean, we all want Mike Trout. But now I'm hearing, I guess, some revved up conversation about the 1 and 1A thing and who's better, Mookie Betts or Mike Trout, and blah, blah, blah. Maybe in the end, you can't decide on the numbers. You can't decide on the contributions to their teams or anything else. But I just think Mookie Betts is better because he signed a contract with a contending team and he's gone out there to win.
And the other part of that is he has an opportunity to show what he does on the biggest stages.
Everybody gets.
Whereas Mike Trout doesn't have that because Mike Trout's team doesn't even make the playoffs.
Right.
We have very poor postseason numbers for Mike Trout in his career.
Yeah, right.
Because he didn't get there. His team doesn't get there.
That's
Mookie
right.
Betts' teams get there.
Yeah. If we're going to keep Mookie Betts and Mike Trout based on their postseason record, I think that we know who has won.
Yes. And in the end, that's what you want your best player to be able to do is elevate your team in the postseason. And first, you got to get there. But then when you are there, you have to perform. And Mookie Betts has at least done both of these things. Yeah, exactly. So there's a difference.
Yep. And he's done a third thing too, which is he's been transcendent. You have to watch when he's at bat. You have to watch when he's on the bases. You have to watch. My goodness, I mean, statistically speaking, or sabermetrically speaking, stolen bases are kind of falling out of favor. Managers maybe play a little conservative. We got a guy on base. We don't want to risk that. You just don't see stolen bases.
The thing is that stolen bases provide an opportunity to make outs.
Yes.
And so teams become risk averse.
Yes.
As you have more opportunity to possibly have a positive outcome, you don't want to risk outs in your season. So players who steal 40 bases tend to steal 38 bases the following year. They tend to steal 35 bases the following year, 32 bases the following year. They don't steal 40 and then 45 and then 60. Right? Because their managers start saying, oh man, you got 45 bases. Woo, we are lucky to get 45. You were thrown out 15 times, right? So how do we, the way we reduce the 15 thrown outs is we have you run less. And then we also have you getting a year older and a year older and a year older. You're not as quick as you were, right? So stolen bases, it becomes a part of the game that I love seeing, right? Because to me, stolen bases puts pressure on the defense, and it means that now people can't just guarantee themselves that you won't be, you know what I mean? Like that you're going to be successful. Like I like stolen bases. I think people should do it. Yeah, maybe you do. Maybe you do create now. What if you don't?
Right. What if you don't? And what if you take away the setup for a double play? You can't do that now. Because I'm on third. Haha, I see me over here.
Stealing second base and then advancing to third on an error. You know, you not only did you not make it out, but you've advanced to the point where you are now X amount 90 feet from scoring. Like you weren't there before. Right. You were just standing on first base. If you have players who can pull that off, I think you take advantage of it as long as you can.
Right. You know? But we're not going to see Mookie Betts steal home, right? Like as much as we would like to see that, we're not going to see that.
You might still see it. He's the most capable player to do it. And while we're risk averse with stolen bases, we absolutely have everybody going for launch angle, which is swinging for the damn fences, in which case you're absolutely more likely to make it out that way.
Yeah, that's right.
Like the likelihood of you hitting a home run every time you try, that's pretty damn small. Why aren't we training people to hit doubles?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
go for that. Move guys around.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got all these guys on the Rays. You know, you keep seeing them come up to the plate, and they say like they always like show you the postseason batting average on the screen, and there's like 172, 162, 184, and somebody who isn't watching might say, "Well, why is that guy in? He's barely hitting." Well, I see that and I say, "Oh, he must have got a timely hit because this is the Rays, right? Doesn't matter. You don't even have to swing for the fences. I mean, guys do. You know, Manny Margot swings for the fences." Randy Arozarena swings for the fences, obviously. Ji-Man Choi swings for the fences, but I think guys like Kiermaier, guys like Renfroe,
they're double hitters.
Yeah,
they're just making solid contact.
They're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be on base before this is over. Yeah, and when you have somebody on base, that's awesome.
And Kiermaier even said that when he was on first base, he knew he had an opportunity to steal second base, and he didn't do it because if he'd done that, then at least first base open with Randy Arozarena coming up.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want them to now walk him to have a chance to not have him do something. So he specifically didn't steal, knowing he could, because he wanted them to have to pitch to Randy Arozarena.
Yeah, now that's some thinking. He's a thinker, right? He's
cool.
Like he's such a leader. Yeah, because that's the stolen base you didn't see, and why not? You know, which is way better than just saying, well, you know, we don't steal bases. I don't have permission from my manager. That's not something I do. We don't do that. Risk averse, right?
Right.
We don't need that. So what is that makes Mookie Betts? What gives him what gives him permission, so to speak? Because I'm assuming that this is a conversation with him and the team. What gives him permission to steal base so much? Is it just because he can? And
he can. He's really good at it, and it's that pressure. When the Dodgers are playing teams, and even when the Red Sox were playing teams, and Mookie Betts was running all over the place, it meant that whatever hitter was coming up next had a chance at a pitcher who had extra crap to think about in his mind.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you want him doing what he does best as much as he possibly can.
Yeah. So if you have a guy who's a good base stealer, go for it.
Yeah. So now what we should talk about, we have analyzed Game 4. Yeah. We should talk about what we were talking about before we started the podcast. And Legion of Fan did not know this. You are this year in 2 publications.
Yes.
So explain it and show it. Like let's see.
Oh, all right. So Legion of Fan, I spent the last 2 years writing for Baseball Prospectus, and the part of the site that I wrote for is Short Relief, and that part of the site got shut down, but they collected some of the best submissions and published it this year, and it is called Getaway Day, a Short Relief collection. And
is it possible for other people to get their hands on that book?
Now that I don't know. I don't know if they publish this for reals or if they just I think maybe you can go to baseballprospectus.com because it has a legit, copyright.
Yeah.
So it says it's like copyright copyright Patrick Dubuque, who's one of the editors of Baseball Prospectus, first printing 2020, and give it a shot. Might have just been a vanity thing. I don't know.
If it's possible, then we'll put it in our
yeah, we'll do that.
in the description
This one you can get. This is Best
Yes.
American Sports Writing 2019. So I am in here with writers that I admire to the point of almost, I mean, if they write something, I must read it. And I will tell you that two of those people, I mean, I am in here. I'm like literally in the table of contents of Best American Sports Writing 2019. So Wright Thompson, it leads with Wright Thompson, When Winter Never Ends, which is one of the most transcendent and amazing pieces of baseball writing you will ever read. Followed by Sam Miller, Sam Miller, I adore him. He's my favorite baseball person who is not a player. And then, Beth Davies Stocka, Winning at the Cost of Silence. Haha, that's me, page 99, people.
And what was that story about?
That story was about Luke Heimlich and his candidacy for the 2019, was it right? Draft.
Yeah, 2019 draft, yep.
Yeah, so Luke Heimlich, who was a pitcher out of Oregon State University, the Beavers, right? And we know that they are an incredibly good team and provide a lot of major league talent. Yep. And Luke Heimlich was certainly one of them, with an ERA of something like 1.14 over that particular season, and was a candidate for the second round of the draft. That was the belief. It was that he would be a second round draft pick. And he had, when he was a teenager, I think he was 16 or 17, pled guilty in a closed situation. It wasn't a trial. He pled guilty to sexually molesting his 6-year-old niece. And Terry had been, asking me, had he accidentally fessed up to this? And it wasn't so much that as he was required to register as a sex offender until the age of 18. And I researched this really carefully because I never want to be unfair to anybody. I researched it really carefully, and the recidivism rate, that is to say, the likelihood that a teenage sexual molester will repeat after corrective action, is about 1%. It is so low. Yeah. Right? That if you say, yes, I did it, and if you say, I am sorry, and you put that in writing, and you go through some learning, and you just pay your dues that way, you never have to go to jail. It is so unlikely that you will ever repeat, that we can forget about this. We'd rather not know, but we can certainly forget about it. What he failed to do in Oregon in that final year was register, and so the police came looking for him, and they came looking for him on campus. And at this point, everybody knew, and he'd never told his coach. He'd never told anybody, that this was a factor in his life, and so he got busted. Yes, he got busted in an embarrassing way. And I mean, what he did was horrible. I don't mean to say let him off the hook. What he did was horrible, but it's done, and it's between him and his niece, and it's nobody else's business. And if he's not going to do it again, let's just not know about it, okay? But we found out. So then the question is, should he be a major leaguer? Because what does that do to the fans? What does that do to fans sitting in the stands? They want to root for this guy. Maybe he becomes their ace. They want to root for him. They're going to do one of two things. They're going to say that what he did doesn't matter, or they're going to say, I really can't handle this. And they're not going to know what to do. Right? So we find out about it. So what happens then is his agent, I don't know how this happens, manages to get with Sports Illustrated and and manages to get a cover story for Luke Heimlich. He hasn't even, it's like, this is like several months before the draft. And it's this sort of, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, it was like this black and white cover, and it sort of showed this like this silhouette of him looking very thoughtful, and it said something like, who is Luke Heimlich? And I felt very strongly that Sports Illustrated collaborated, intentionally or not, with Luke Heimlich's people to rehabilitate his image. Right. And I took exception because I'm a survivor. So I took exception to that.
Like, ain't that some shit? Oh, no, you won't.
Yeah. That point. Yeah. Oh, no, you won't. I mean, fine. If he wasn't going to do it again, it was between him and his niece. I understand that about surviving. You don't want everybody to know. You don't want anybody to know. But here it is. I let everybody know. That was my first time coming out like that. But I understood that little girl. And in some ways, she's me. So I had something to say about it. Baseball Prospectus supported that, and the editor Patrick Dubuque, aforementioned editor of Getaway Day, helped me with it. And although he says it was all me, maybe it was, I don't know. I thought he helped me. I thought Baseball Prospectus was incredibly supportive when I kind of bleated a little bit about this being wrong, and they ran it on that day. And I could see from what we saw, I think Terry saw it too, I could see that there are people who read Baseball Prospectus who are inside baseball. Baseball Prospectus draws an inside readership along with the fan base, right? Because
they're not making new fans of the casual dudes in bars.
No, they're really not. Baseball Prospectus publishes for two camps. Baseball professionals who take advantage of Baseball Prospectus's original stats and their, I mean, they're what do you call them? Oh, okay, so I'm losing it now. But you have something like WHIP, proprietary stats. That's what I'm looking for.
Like your weighted runs created plus.
Right. Yeah. Which I think which I rolled out last year. Right. Yeah. So they have statisticians. That's their biggest part of their staff, are the statisticians who are developing advanced stats, which are proprietary. So insiders subscribe, and who else? Fantasy subscribers. Because
absolutely.
First of all,
which is how I discovered them.
It's like, and that's like what you were saying earlier in the show, that the numbers are really, really fun. Yes. That draws a fantasy crowd, including those who actually manage to make money off fantasy baseball. You want the best stats. So they can afford a subscription model because their subscribers are very motivated. And this is the audience that I got to reach. And I don't think I think that there were some people on the fence about maybe drafting Luke Heimlich. I don't know if I had anything to do with that. I don't know if I knocked anybody off the fence, but I do think that the uproar that Baseball Prospectus and maybe a couple of other, like local radio shows were vocal. Yeah. I think that these things really tipped the balance away. Like maybe a few months later, the GM or the manager of the Royals was talking about maybe, we could probably rehab him. It's the Christian thing to do, blah, 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 but so far we don't have Luke Heimlich in a major league uniform or a minor league uniform. Yeah. He's pitching in Mexico. And every now and then, if you Google him, every now and then you can see his stats. I guess he's doing pretty well on his Mexican team. But yeah, I mean, what he did to his knees was horrible, but let me repeat, between him and his niece, not my business, not anybody's business, but hers. It's her business. But what he did, trying to lie to us, co-opting any sports media that would listen to him, and lie. He lied.
There's also the part where
do it.
There's also the part where, like you mentioned earlier, the recidivism rate for this type of offense, and when the state tells you, here's what you have to do, then you have to do that thing. And he didn't do the thing. And he didn't do the thing probably because he thought, if I do the thing, I'm putting it out there. That's going to look bad for me. Right. Which is, what the shit? Bad for you? Hold on a second. Right. The whole point here is you've already done something bad for someone else.
Yeah, very bad.
And all you have to do here is do the right thing to make it up to that person. Right. This is what the state told you have to do. And at that last step, he wanted to not do that thing and have nobody know about it. But the people come looking for you. And then when the people come looking for you, now everybody knows and everybody got to talk about the thing. Like, it's worse than that. And that what's actually happening here is the minute all of it comes out and his career is about to be affected, there are people who make money down the line who saw their money being affected. So they go to work trying to preserve their money at the expense of the 6-year-old niece. Right. Who at this point is not a 6-year-old, but like at this point, she's probably a 12-year-old.
Yeah, and that's still a very vulnerable age, let's face it.
We're still talking about possibly like a preteen or a teenage girl. Like this is, she's a victim. And she's still a victim, and she's still being victimized. She's still further being victimized because this dude didn't do the thing he was supposed to fucking do, right? Like that. Like it's, and now when Sports Illustrated starts saying let's try to rehabilitate the guy's image, it's like, man, at some point, this is the image, right? This is the person. You have already learned that at this point in his career, in his life, what he would do ethically. Right? It's the crime is one thing,
Yeah.
The ethics are what you do after that, right? Like, what do you do to make the restitution? Ethically, now you found out what he's going to do,
Yeah.
right? By being at this stage of the situation, we now know you don't have to rehabilitate his image. Now you report the story and you keep it moving.
Right.
Right. Rehabilitating his image is just trying to make sure his agent gets paid the 20% he's due when he's signed.
Yeah.
You know, second round draft picks are guaranteed X amount of money.
Right.
You know, like there's dollar figures attached to that thing. And I find that to be kind of disgusting. You know what I mean? Like that's the part that would piss me off.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for saying that. Because, and I'll compound it for you. When it came out, he said he didn't do it. After he had confessed to it, after he had written her a letter, I explained to her
because everything is sealed, so he doesn't have to admit to it. And this is the Ryan Braun situation, right? Yeah. Ryan Braun could say with the steroids, "No, I didn't do it," because he knows that everything's we don't have a chain of custody, everything's tainted, so he can just deny, right? Till he tests dirty again, and then it's like, well, okay, you got it.
Yeah. And it was terrible when Ryan Braun tried to blame the tester or blame the UPS guys. Those are bad, but when you turn around and you blame a little girl for what you did to her,
right?
You know, now you've gone too far. And you know, when you say that it didn't happen, which is what he said, well, it didn't happen. You said it happened. You admitted to it. You confessed. You did it in writing.
And you think no one's gonna know because it's sealed. We can't read it, but it's only sealed until a certain point, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to know.
But we will say there was a very good thing that this event produced, which was for short term a real conversation about the sexual abuse of children. It produced a real conversation, and again, that was very much at the local level. You know, so you would look at local radio sports talk shows, and you would find that even the callers, who are sometimes not that sympathetic to anything but winning, right? And I understand that they were calling and saying, you know what, me too. And this was before Me Too, or maybe around Me Too. I'm not sure, but I mean, so I don't mean to say hashtag Me Too. I just mean like that happened to me. This hurts me, you know. And that was really cool. It was really cool to see that there was a conversation, even for just a little while. And it was really cool to be chosen for Best American Sports Writing. I don't even think it's one of the best things I've ever written, but people who have read it have said it's just so good because it's so brave, which is.
I think it's important that our Legion of Fan realize that you are a published author.
I'm a published author.
Who is recognized in this field of baseball in two different ways as being top of the game, and that's cool. I'm the comic book dude who loves talking baseball. You're the pro. That's what I like about it.
I'm blushing. I know nobody ever gets that way, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. My goodness, is this like a good stopping point? I don't even
think so.
Stop, but I know one thing.
I just wanted to get to that before we finished, right? Like, you know, so I think we got a good hour and a half in. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, we did. We got a good one this time. And thank you so much. I'm my goodness, I'm moved and flattered, and I feel cared about. That's a good feeling. Thank you. We have to call tonight's game, and we have to call the series.
Yes.
Let's start with tonight's game. Who wins tonight?
I think tonight the Rays win again.
Oh, do you? And why do you think that?
I think the Rays. So my concern about the Rays possibly winning again, I do have a concern about it, but I'm going to pick them because it's just how I do things, right? Okay. My concern is when I see teams celebrate a win as if they've won the seventh game of a World Series, I tend to get a letdown in that following game because that other team's going to get pissed off seeing that. They're going to come in with a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, that's right.
I just, the way the Rays play, I don't think they care the Dodgers have a chip on their shoulder, right? The Dodgers need to win this game. They need to win it to get over that last game. They have to win it. I don't give a like I'm the Rays. If I'm the Rays, I'm putting myself in the position of the Rays. We must go out there and beat them dudes to show that wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You have to show that that's who you are.
You're right.
You got to go out there and get hard hits, and you got to find holes and gaps in the outfield. You got to catch guys sleeping. You need that.
Right.
You know?
Right. Do you think that Kershaw has a vulnerability that they can exploit tonight?
I think Kershaw's vulnerability is you keep seeing that dude.
Yeah.
You keep trotting Clayton Kershaw out in the postseason, bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Remember how I said that what you really need is a way to like have one more guy on your staff so that Clayton Kershaw could get a bit more rest so that he's ready for this? And we're not there yet. So Clayton Kershaw, every time you try Clayton Kershaw out there, you're giving people more looks at Clayton Kershaw, right? Yeah. With their adrenaline going, right? With their level of discipline.
Yeah.
I think that it's not,
Yeah. The
not
Rays
game one anymore.
For me.
What's that?
The Rays are winning the mental game for me.
Yes.
That's what I see. It's just a winning the mental
Yeah.
game. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I was going to pick the Dodgers for tonight
It's
because
fair.
of that
You
chip
should.
on your shoulder. Yeah.
I think you should.
Yeah. Just that's the only reason. I think that Tyler Glasnow is such an interesting pitcher. Just not only for being super interesting personality and for being so weirdly tall, like,
Yes.
not even like, I mean, it's like Randy Johnson fit his tallness, and
Yes.
Glasnow almost seems a little bit too tall for who he is.
Yes.
But which maybe, and he has got his control issues, so he's got like wicked good stuff and can't control it. I would like to see him have a whip tonight of more like 0.7,
Sure.
and if that happens, they win. And if it doesn't happen, then I think it happened.
Yes.
So that's what I'll go that way, but I'm still going to pick the Dodgers because of that chip.
Legion of Fan, what a whip is, it is the ratio of walks to hits per innings pitched. So if you have a whip that has a 1 in front of the decimal point, we have a bad situation.
Yeah.
If you have a whip that has a 2 in front of the decimal point, that guy's not in the game for very long. Like,
Yeah. So when Glasnow started on Wednesday night, was it? No, it was Snell on Wednesday, and it was Glasnow on Tuesday night. He in 4 1/3 or 4 2/3 innings, he struck out 8 but walked 6.
Yes.
So you don't want both those things going on.
Yes.
If you walk a bunch of guys, fine, we'll just take you out. If you strike out a bunch of guys, don't be walking them at the same time. Like figure something else out.
You're striking out guys, so we kind of need you in, but you're walking guys, you're putting dudes on base, and that's a problem because now, that's a problem.
That's a problem. Yeah. So let's see Glasnow come out like the best Glasnow we've ever seen, and the Rays win. Otherwise, I'm going to go with the Dodgers because they're going to hit them a lot, and they're going to have a rough few. They're going to have a.
They're certainly going to swing.
The game. Yep.
Yep. The Dodgers are certainly going to swing.
Yeah. Either they're going to miss it as it goes by, or they're going to hit it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The Dodgers are going to play really hard tonight. So this is exciting. This is an exciting game 5. This is an exciting series, and it's an exciting game 5, and I'm very excited.
Yep.
So since we won't talk till after the series, are you still picking the Rays for the series?
I'm still picking the Rays for the series because I want Dodger disappointment. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know that I want Dodger disappointment.
There's like 3 or 4 Dodgers that I want to see good things for, right? Because I'm a fan of 3, really a big fan of 3 or 4 of them,
Yeah.
But like, I want to see a team like the Rays win the World Series.
Yep.
And if it has to be
a team like the Rays win. Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's whatever year I'm watching, whichever team is having the absolutely most fun, that are playing with the most cohesion, that have that underdog vibe, but they care about each other so much. That they come through and they win. I love that. I want to see that happen. Yeah. So we'll have rays of sunshine.
All right, sign us out, Beth.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, especially to my friend and co-host Terry Gant for another magical chemistry-laden conversation about baseball and tangential issues. Thank you to Legion of Fan for showing up once again, and tell your friends. And we're going to be doing some cool things after the World Series, so don't worry about that. We're going to be here and we're going to be cool. And you're still going to have some baseball-ish type stuff. And in the meantime, enjoy the baseball and turn into the love.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Nailed it.
Totally.
All right, Terry.
You're still recording.
Okay, I will stop recording and goodbye to recording, but stay on for a minute.